Welcome back to Wide Angle. Today we are discussing the implications of President Obama's recent visit to Asia. Just before we had the break, we were talking about the South China Seas and the prospects as to whether this can be taken up in a multilateral forum. Ambassador Tayal, you have been in the region. How do you look at the prospects? Is there, the Chinese approach so far has been to limit discussions only to bilateral talks. Do you think that is a policy that can move forward, or will it at some point have to translate into multilateral discussions?
Sood, I'd like to make a larger point that some of the allies of United States are perhaps putting too much strain on the United States. Their expectations are very high. And you can look at what happened in Syria, what is happening in Syria, what is happening in Ukraine, and United States is fighting shy of taking on a major power, whether it is Russia, and my own assessment is it will do the same as far as China is concerned. So countries like Philippines or Vietnam should not feel that for their dispute about a small island or a shoal or something, America will come very, very strongly in support of them with their full firepower. These battles will have to be fought by these countries. America may give moral support, it may give some air support, it may give some radar support, but it will not come in a very, very big way. So these countries, every country has to treat China with respect, as perhaps Ukraine will be forced to do as far as Russia is concerned. And that's why President Obama has not given any commitment to Philippines publicly that about these islands, and that has to be noted by all the countries of the region.
This is interesting because Philippines has gone to the International Court of Arbitration, particularly with regard to the Scarborough Shoal, which you referred to earlier, Professor Mahapatra. But China has refused to participate in the arbitration proceedings. And in that sense, perhaps China is still persisting with its effort to only follow bilateral routes. Well, we have been talking about the strategic implications. Let me now turn to the economic part of the so-called rebalancing to Asia. And that is reflected in the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Professor Mahapatra, this brings together 12 countries which account for 60% of the world's GDP, 40% of the world's population. But what it does is, it leaves out China. How does China look at the TPP?
You know, first of all, it leaves out China, it leaves out India, and very fascinatingly, it puts Vietnam in, a smaller, much smaller economy and all. In fact, TTP was not launched by the Americans. They were the latecomers. And now they are pushing Japan, and they push Japan. Japan has also joined it. But TPP, somehow the Americans expected that by the time Obama arrives in Tokyo, there will be some agreement, at least some kind of symbolic gesture that this agreement is going forward positively. That did not happen. Because the Japanese know that apart from the rice and the beef problems that they face vis-a-vis the Americans, the real problem of TPP today is in American Congress. Even the members of the Democratic Party are opposed to it. Even the Republican parties are opposed to it. And the US Congress is refusing to give the fast track authority to Obama. And elections are due in November, the congressional election. So they know that this is not taking up the ground. China, on the other hand, has responded by launching its own RCEP, where interestingly India is a member.
Regional Cooperation Economic Partnership.
Yeah, and India is a member of RCEP and not TPP.
Well, I think this is all we have time for this evening. But what is critical here is that President Obama's visit touched 4 countries, and the major focus of discussion was China, whether on the strategic side or whether on the economic side. And as was brought out, India remains a critical player in this region. In recent years, we have seen strengthening of our relationship with both Japan and South Korea, and these relationships are therefore going to grow as we get more and more engaged. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.